Country Life by Emil Scher, Oral Literacy Response. Overwhelming shock and grief are only a few words that can be used to describe the pain and suffering an individual must endure after losing a child. Author Emil Scher takes us into his short story Country Life and allows us to experience the devastation when a protective couple loses their only child to a tragic accident. This short story has impact and emotion as we are taken through the thoughts and feelings of the narrator as he experiences the loss of his only daughter, 5-year-old Cassie. During the initial onset of this story, the narrator gives explicit detail into the country setting and his reasons for moving his family from the city to the country. A city is no place for a child, not anymore. The narrator effectively uses figurative language to describe the developing relationship between Cassie and their elderly neighbor, Mr. Wiley. Emil Scher is explicit when describing Mr. Wiley, a good neighbor that is described as having a disheveled appearance, whom is widowed and very lonely. The characterization of Mr. Wiley softens as the story develops and the narrator's fondness of him becomes more apparent. The author uses personification when describing details such as weeds in the narrator's front yard. Green tufts scattered over the walk like patches of unsightly and unshaven hair. The descriptive language helps the reader to better understand the grief and neglect that has taken place since the tragic loss of his daughter. Throughout the country life, the narrator continues to describe the blossoming friendship between Cassie and Mr. Wiley. They picked weeds in Mr. Wiley's garden, and berries Cassie stirred into thick jam. Together, the characters formed a close bond that was sadly struck with tragedy that ended in despair. Emil Scher uses long and flowing sentence structures to effectively mellow and sadden the mood of the story. The narrator's heavy heart is apparent as the story unfolds. She was killed a year ago on a cool, cloudy day in October, when the birds chose the leafy warmth of a tree over the chill of an open sky. The passage in which the narrator discovers his daughter had been shot by a hunter and held in his arms as she was dying, both powerful and emotional. I touched her cheek, still warm from her run. I wanted to shake her, urge her to continue running until she reached our house, where we'd plant her flowers in the milk pitcher. Emil Scher has captured the essence of descriptive language throughout his story Country Life. His detailed characterizations and devastating subject created a mood-altering story that had raw emotion and impact. The irony of the story is that the narrator moved his daughter to the country to protect her and raise her in a safe environment, only to have her tragically killed by hunters that mistakenly thought she was a deer. This is a powerful story with an emotional conclusion.